Hello guys and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the gunner. The gunner is one of my main alts that I've been having a lot of fun with. This class is extremely fun to play. Does a lot of damage, a lot of burst damage, but her sustained damage is also extremely impressive. So today I will talk about like all her skills, her gear recommendations and rotations, so that it can make you into like a walking flamethrower. Because this class just burns everything around her. It's actually a lot of fun to play. Now this class is really easy to play, so I'll try and go really quick, skill by skill from level 1, but I'll be like extremely fast just saying what the skill is useful or not. I don't need to explain a lot of these skills, so I'll just glaze over some of them, and I'm gonna ignore those that are like self-explanatory skills. So the first skill, the aerial assault, this is just your level 1 basic skill. Doesn't really do much for you in PvE, can be usable in PvP. It does have like a knockdown on it, so it's actually kind of useful. Very low cooldown, it's good for combos and stuff. But other than that, you're not really going to be using this one in PvE at all. Let's go to the second one. So Flame Burst is a very interesting one. Flame Burst, I kind of use it even at late game because it's a very low cooldown. And it applies scorching, which is a debuff you're going to be using later on in the late game once you get your sets. So the skill isn't actually that bad. It does decent damage. It's just a skill, and then it has like some fire area on the ground. It adds this scorching debuff on the mob. So this ensures that you have a nice uptime on your scorch debuff. So the more cooldown you get in, the more uptime you're gonna get on your scorch debuff. I'll talk about the scorch debuff in a bit and why it's kind of useful. Let's go to the next one here. Slide attack, also just another like quick movement skill. It's a PvP thing, nothing interesting about it. If you get the passive as well, you get a more airborne on the enemy, it lasts longer. Yeah, that's all for this. For PvE, not really gonna use this one. For PvP, is actually really cool. It's really good catching skill and for extending your combos. If you catch someone on range, because gun is like a kind of a range class, right? So if you catch someone on range, you can use this to close the distance like extremely fast and then continue your combo. Let's go to the first finisher that you get at level 1. So the explosive trigger, pretty good skill for leveling up. It's really good for leveling up. But the moment you unlock the better ones, you can just swap off of it. It might have its uses later on when you get like gear sets that activate after using a finisher. Then probably you want to be using this one. But with the way it is at the moment, it's not really a very good finisher. It's okay, but yeah, it's very meh. Let's put it like that. So I rarely use this, but if you have like a situation where some gear sets require you to use a finisher, like the hex chest sets, if you're gonna be using that, I am not so sure about it. I'm not really gonna lie or anything. So until that, I'm gonna set a video aside for those hex chest pieces. But for now, yeah, it's just a decent skill you can use if you want to use the lower cooldown finisher. Then let's go to the next one. You have your landmine. So the landmine, this is purely a PvP skill. It's really good for zoning. You can like set it up and wait for like cooldown, set it up and then just play around them, because the enemy will have to like go around the right, not go through. So it's something it's basically like a zoning tool. Like you set it somehow, and then like, play around it, wait for your cooldowns and stuff, so that you can try and catch them. That's all. It's PvP. In PvE, does really nothing. The damage is also very mediocre, so yeah, you're never really gonna be using this one in PvE at all. Then you do have your passive here. Gunfu gives you free crit chance. Of course, you just max that out. Free crit chance is pretty good. And then we go to the next one, and that's the charged basic attack. Everyone has this one. This is the one that oops, sorry, I haven't taken it. This one puts you airborne. The one when you hold and you go airborne. That's just the point of that skill. Every class has that passive. And then let's move to level 10. You do have your passive here, the extreme dodge. This is the one that every class has, where when you do like a dodge and then you get the extreme dodge, which you like basically dodge an attack, you will get more resonance energy on the top here, the white bar, and then you're gonna be using your resonance state, the one that you press V to unlock on PC. I don't know the button for PS. But yeah, that's the point of that passive. Every class has that passive. And then the next skill you have here, Formation Breaker. Formation Breaker is just it's a movement skill. This one is also like usable for PvP. It's a small movement with a combo. Yeah, it does really bad damage, so yeah, you never really use this in PvE. You might use it in PvP, but you are limited with how many skills you can equip anyway, and you already have one for PvP. That's pretty good, like the first one here with a much lower cooldown. So I don't know, this is like a 17-second cooldown. It's not really, the damage is like so I never really use this kit at all. So yeah, then we go to Spiral Cut. Spiral Cut, yeah, pretty decent skill. However, it's not really a damage skill, maybe for combos and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool for combos and setting them enemy airborne. PvE, you're not really gonna use this. It's just usable for PvP. So we're at level 15. At level 15, you do get your passive, the basic attack mode switch. You get this by default. So what this means is just how your gun has 3 modes of fire. So you have your basic ranged attack. It's called the EM gun. You activate this when you use particular skills. And then when you hold like your basic attack, the charged basic attack, you can swap into melee mode. Like that's now melee mode, where you are going to be doing your melee attacks, right? Even if you're like far away, it's going to be just melee. And then you do have your grenade mode. Grenade mode is unlocked when you do particular skill. For example, explosive hunt. I just put it here just to show you. When you swap to this, the basic attack becomes grenades, right? And then when you do like your flame, it becomes an EM gun, and then that's how the basic attack looks. That's what that passive means. You have 3 modes of basic attacks. The same level 15, you're going to unlock your Anion Cannon. So Anion Cannon is one of your major DPS skills. This skill hits like a truck from the moment you get it. It's a pretty cool skill. You charge it, you want to hold C and then release. C and then release. Oh no, I put it on C, but whatever your hotkey for it is. It does really good damage as well. But you get a passive at level 20. Let me show you. So the passive at level 20 gives it a timer. So what it says is when casting the Anion Cannon, at the moment it flashes red, it deals increased damage. Now, I used to think you want to look at the gun itself, and then when the gun is like red, that's when you want to release it. But the easiest way of getting the perfect time release is to look at the bar, the charge bar on you, and the moment it passes the yellow and goes to the red part, you see that? It's like, it starts like orange. I don't know, is that orange or yellow? Like orange and then reddish. So when it is like 80% full, that's when you release it, and you'll always get the perfect time, like there. Let's say perfect time. So around 80% of the bar. If you try and look at the gun doesn't, I don't know, I don't usually see it correctly. I don't know, I rather use the bar here. Another thing to note is when you're casting this during when you're in the air, the bar does not appear. So keep that in mind. The bar does not appear. So unless you like have it on muscle memory, because the moment you use the gunner for a while, you start getting the muscle memory of it. You will start noticing how much you have to hold the button to get the perfect time all the time. So it's up to you. The skill does really good damage. I always have it in my bar. It's always there. It's one of your major DPS skills, so always get it there, and the passive as well, and keep it there. Let's go to the next level 20 skill, Explosive Hunt. This is also another extremely good skill. I always max that skill out. And you also want to be getting the passive just to increase the range of the skill to make it like a very high range skill. So it becomes a very high range skill. You see, it's really high range. Really high, very annoying in PvP. very annoying in PvP because this skill tracks. That's the thing about the skill. It tracks enemies. See, it's really annoying in PvP. Really good damage in PvE and really good damage in PvP as well. So if you want to annoy people in PvP, yeah, you can use this skill because it can track people. And yeah, you can use it to catch people off guard. It's a really, really strong skill. And then the next skill here, you have your Singularity Grenade. So this is your gather skill. Does pretty good damage. It has a lot of hits on it. And does pretty good damage. It has a passive on it, and the passive just increases the gather radius. So without the passive, the gather radius is just within the animation of the skill. But once you have the passive unlocked, you're going to get an increased area. See that part? That's now also an increased pool. So you can gather mobs for a much larger radius using that passive. So yeah, it's a pretty cheap passive to get, only 1 point, and you can get that extra effect. So I always max this one out as well, and I always have it in my bar somewhere. The next skill is the flamethrower. This is also another staple skill. You want to be maxing this one. It's one of your highest DPS skills. It's just a flamethrower. So flamethrower has just one slight thing to it. So with the flamethrower, the cooldown on the skill depends on how long you have used the skill. When you hold down the quick slot for the flamethrower skill and you spend the entire time, the cooldown will be a little bit longer. See, it's like 14 seconds. However, when you just tap it, you have like 11 seconds. So keep that in mind. So you want to do, if you want to do like the maximum DPS, hold it, but you're going to have a little longer cooldown on it. If you just want to tap it, and then it's going to go off cooldown immediately, it's going to like stop the channel, and then you're going to get a lower cooldown by like 3 seconds. But you need to keep in mind, you're going to lose around 15% damage if you don't do the entire channel. So it's up to you. If you just tap it, then yeah, that's it. That's the only difference between the two when it comes to the hyperburn. So you see, the longer you spray flames, the longer the cooldown, right? A rampaging barrage. This skill does insane amount of damage. I think it's your hardest hitting skill. It's a little annoying to use. I'll explain in a bit. But for here, let me add the passive as well, because it just ties to this. This passive also applies to hyperburn as well. As you can see, maximum cooldown of hyperburn is reduced. It reduces the maximum you can get by this. Instead of like 15, you'll get something like 12. And when you just tap it, instead of 10 or something, you get like 8-second cooldown, something like that, right? It's just a small passive you wanna always have active, so that it reduces the cooldown of hyperburn and will also reduce the cooldown of rampaging barrage. This skill is really strong. However, you wanna hold it, and I don't know if there's a way to just tap it. It's a little annoying to me because sometimes it cancels itself and I don't get all the hits. If you do get all the hits, it does a shit ton of damage. But if you tap it, it cancels. It doesn't go on cooldown though, because you do have like 30 shots on it. So you can tap it, walk around, tap it, walk around, tap it, until you run out of the bullets, or you have like five remaining, because it's like 30 shots. So all the 30 shots, if they hit, massive damage. If you cancel in the middle, maybe a boss is doing something, you can cancel, then continue after. It doesn't still go on cooldown until you use like all the shots, right? So that's the thing about that skill. Pretty decent cooldown, really high damage. You wanna be using that. It's one of your staple skills. You wanna make sure you're hitting all the shots to do the maximum amount of damage using that skill. And then you do have bombardment. Bombardment. It's just a pure DPS skill. Doesn't really have a lot of going for it, but it does good damage. So it's one thing you always be having in your bar. Just pretty cool skill. It's actually a range skill as well, so you don't have to be close. It's a range skill. It does very good damage. Huge AoE as well. So keep that in mind. And decent cooldown, not a very long cooldown skill. So yeah, just a pure DPS skill. Nothing to talk about there so much. Now you hit level 45, you just unlocked your first awakening skill. So let's just talk about the awakening skill. It is just a pure DPS skill. Pretty good. This is probably one of your major awakening skill you're gonna be using. Does decent damage. Yeah, not much to say about that. That's all it does. And on that same level, you're gonna be unlocking your hit mechanic. Now, a lot of people get confused with this hit mechanic because it seems like there's so much going into it, but it's actually really simple. Now, hit mechanic, you see the bar on top of your skills. It will fill up the more skills you are using. all the way to 100%, right? The more heat you have, the more damage you'll be doing. So the rule of thumb is this: you wanna be at 100% heat. Okay, not really 100%. You wanna be more than 75% at all times, right? More than 75%. The heat is in 3 levels. So the first level, the second level, and then the third level. Each level gives you a small damage boost, but the higher you are, the more damage you boost you're going to be getting. So to keep it very simple, you want to be at maximum heat at all times. Now, one thing you'll notice is the moment you're at maximum heat, you will see this button saying self-destruct. Let me show you. You see overheating, and then you will see a timer here. So what this timer does, the moment the timer runs out, you're going to lose some heat. Boom, self-destruct, and then you're going to lose some heat, like 15% of your heat or something like that. Sorry, let's max it out so you can see it again. 4, 3, 2, 1. Self-destruct, you lose your heat to like 70%, and then you'll have to build it back again up to 100% to get your bonus damage. Now, the thing about the self-destruct is you don't really have to worry about it that much, because you can always cancel that with a dash. You see, so you can maintain the heat 100% of the time. Right? Oh, see, I didn't time that correctly. So let's max it again. So 4, 3, 2, 1. I can just dash, and then self-destruct doesn't reduce my heat. Another thing is when you are doing a skill, it will cancel that self-destruct, so you can continue doing your stuff. As long as you are doing a skill, you will maintain the 100% hit at all times. So it's 100% uptime. You don't even have to think about your hit meter anymore. As long as you're doing any skill, it doesn't matter, any skill. So keep that in mind. This hit mechanic is actually one of the easiest mechanics in the game when it comes to like a class mechanic, because of that way. And then you have these 2 passives down here. So the first one increases how much hit you get. So if you have that 2 passives, you can get like a lot of hit very quickly. A lot of hit very quickly. That's just 1 skill, and I'm almost full hit. I can do like 2, and I'm full maximum hit, right? That's the point of the passive. The second point of the passive is you lose hit faster. I don't know why this skill is here, because there is no incentive of you losing this bar this quick. It's actually not, I don't understand the passive. It shouldn't even exist. This is actually a very useless passive. You actually want to have 0 points on the skill, because you want to maintain your hit. You don't want to lose it at all. That's the thing. So this one, just keep it at 0, but the control module, keep it at 1. The cooling one, keep it at 0. Like, that's the point of these 2 passives. After that, there's kind of a hidden passive here. You just need to like the video and then subscribe, and that will actually give you like a 2% damage increase. So keep that in mind as well. And then let's go to the next one. So the level 50 skill. So you have your fire tour. This is your riding your gun skill. Now this skill, let me put it on 2. This skill does decent damage, and it is fun to use. It is fun to use. Not very practical, but it is fun to use. Now, the reason why I don't use this skill in my bar and stuff is the functionality of this skill kind of overlaps with like the first skill, the level 1, right? The flame burst. Both of them apply Scorch, which is the debuff I told you guys about. Both of them will apply Scorch. It's competing for a spot with a level 1 skill, with Flame Burst. So it's a very personal preference. However, for me, I would prefer Flame Burst because the Scorch uptime is much better and it's a much lower cooldown skill. So yeah, there's that. This one, it's okay, but I prefer to get the Flame Burst than this one. Yeah, it's Well, it's preference. You can use which one you want between the two. You can only have one between those two, right? So you can choose which one you want. For me, I don't really like this skill that much. It's fun to use, but it's not really that good. It's not really that good. Like you can cast Flame Burst like 3 or so times before you get a second Fiery Tour. So keep that in mind. And then you have a passive here, Thermal Conversion. So this passive is actually for your Hyper Burn. When you are using your Flamethrower skill and you do have heat, Flamethrower will lock that heat. You see how the heat is not going down? That is the point of that passive. So you can be like at 100% heat, and then you can use a Flamethrower, and it's going to lock your heat at that point when you're using Flamethrower. If you don't have the passive, and then you use Flamethrower, you're gonna be losing heat during the cast. And then at level 55, you're gonna get your Particle Cannon. Really good skill, does really good damage. I always have that skill with me. A really good skill, does pretty good damage and have an explosion at the end. Decent damage, I always have that skill. It's a staple. Really huge AoE as well, so keep that in mind. This skill has one problem with it, is it is a ranged skill. It is a ranged skill, and the explosion will always happen where the ball ends up. So when you do this in melee, sometimes the ball goes past the boss. Like right now it's on this. Sometimes I don't know what happens, it goes, see how it goes behind the boss or something. You will lose a lot of the damage. So keep that in mind. It's to make sure you don't lose any damage, just use it at a little bit of range so that you can ensure that you hit the last explosion, because the last explosion does do like really good damage. And then at level 60, you get your second awakening skill. This one does a lot of damage. This skill is insane. Does a shit ton of burst, and it kind of it baits you every time you do Abyss of Purgatory, because you think you have gotten an epic drop because of the sound. It does have that epic drop sound at the end. I don't know why they did that. They're just trolling us, because every time you do that and the boss dies, you feel, maybe I got an epic, but you actually didn't get anything. Really cool skill, a lot of fun, a huge area as well. So yeah, I really like that skill a lot. Okay, with that being said, my setup for my skill set is like this. So this is how I've set up my skill set. You can use this the way it is, and you can interchange them the way you want. But the only one I would suggest you use the exact same way is your first slot, which is your Explosive Hunt and your Flame Burst. So Flame Burst is like the level 1 skill. So Flame Burst, and you want your Explosive Hunt, right? Now the reason for this is because the gunner has a piece of gear. I think it's the boots, or it is the boots. So the boots, Scorching Boots, is part of her class set. The Explosive Hunt skill will do 30% more damage against scorched enemies, right? How do you scorch enemies? Flame Burst. Flame Burst automatically scorches enemies, which means when you do your Explosive Hunt, it's gonna do 30% more damage, right? So if you keep them on the same bar, they will always like go together. The moment Explosive Hunt is coming off cooldown, you will be having the Scorch debuff on the enemy. So yeah, you can use the two interchangeably so that you can always have that bonus on that skill. And Explosive Hunt is a good skill, does a lot of damage, so it's kind of good to give it even more buffs. The rest of the skills, you can use them anyhow you want. Nothing, it's just a personal preference on how you want to set them up, right? But yeah, that's about it. Gun is a very easy class. You are just spamming things. There's no rotation, there's no nothing. The only one is to keep in mind is the two here. So one thing I feel like I need to emphasize a little bit is the hit mechanic. The hit mechanic has a lot of wording into it, but it's actually a very easy mechanic. I don't want you people to get confused with it. So keep this in mind. You want to be at 100% hit at all times. Forget about the level 1 hit and the level 2 hit. Just think about the level 3 hit. You want to be at max hit 100% of the time. The self-destruct mechanic, where the moment you're 100% hit, you start timing down and then it reduces your hit. You do not need to worry about that at all, because you are going to be getting a lot of cooldown reduction. So with enough cooldown reduction, that self-destruct will never happen because I've already showed you how to cancel that. So when you're like 100% hit and you are timing down, if you use any skill during the animation, it's going to cancel that self-destruct mechanic. So 2 at 1, just use a skill. It's not going to reduce your hit. So keep that in mind. Any skill, when everything is off cooldown, you can use your dash. The dash as well doesn't affect the hit mechanic. So you can maintain 100% hit 100% of the time as long as you're using skills when you're just about to self-destruct. If you are out, when you don't have any skill, just use a quick dash. It's also going to do that. But with enough cooldown, I don't even have that much. How much do I have? I think 200 and something. I have 245 cooldown rate. With this cooldown rate, I can just spam my skills, and I'll never really run out of skills to use to cancel the self-destruct, right? So keep that in mind. It's not a very hard thing to do. Just make sure it's just at 100% hit. So with all that being said, if you were to ask me what rotation I use, the gun is a very simple class that it doesn't really matter what you do. I only advise you to use your explosive hunt if you have Scorch on the enemy, because that's like the only prerequisite. So my example rotation will be something like I'll just press 1 and then 1, I'm already full hit, and then I'll just spam everything else. I'm also making sure that when the timer on my character is like around 1, I am in the middle of a skill. That way I do not lose any of my hit. It doesn't matter which skill you're using, as long as you're in the middle of an animation, the self-destruct mechanic will not happen. It will not happen at all. See, I'm like full hit all this time. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just spamming skills. You will always have this skill off cooldown. With my 240 CDR, I just have skills to use at all times. At all times. If I don't have a skill and I'm almost like a dash, I still have the 100% hit. Yeah, so that's how you play Gunner. It's pretty easy skill. Pretty easy class, I mean. When it comes to building your Gunner, you want to be focusing on your physical attributes. So you're going to be going for strength. You're going to be going for agility, which gives you physical crit chance. That's what you're looking for, physical crit. You're going to be looking for physical attack, which ties into strength, right? And then you're going to be looking for cooldown reduction. You need a lot of cooldown reduction, and then maybe some attack speed later, and then critical damage, and then crit chance. That's the it. When it comes to element, now for element, Gunner uses 2 elements. It's pyro and electro, but you can only choose one. So most Gunners will go for pyro, and the reason for that is one of your pieces here will give like some pyro enhancement on like hyperburn. Yeah, so it's just a safe bet to go for pyro. Most skills will do neutral damage, even those that you think does pyro. For example, the particle, it looks like lightning, but it's actually a neutral damage skill. So this one will do pyro when you use like pyro food or something like that, right? So keep that in mind. Pyro is like the element you want to be going for when you're building your Gunner. Another thing about the Gunner is the class set effect. So since I have the set effect, I think I can show you guys. This alt has been really lucky with her sets. So the flaming overflow buff on your 4-piece, it says when you wait 1 second, you're gonna get a 110% skill damage ratio. This only means 10% extra damage, not 110%. So it is just 10%, keep that in mind. And then when you wait for an extra second, so 2 seconds, you're gonna get another 10% crit rate, not an extra damage. So it's, if you wait 2 seconds, it's 10% more damage and 10% crit rate on your next skill. So this is how the buff looks like. So when I use a skill, boom, you're gonna see I have flaming overthrow here. Damage of next skill plus 10%. It lasts for a short duration, right? So boom, you're gonna get it, and then if I wait another second, I get the crit rate. Now, if you're going to use the entire set effect, means you're going to be using a skill, wait for like 2 seconds, use another skill, wait for 2 seconds, use another skill. Oh, that's the same skill. Maybe explosive, wait for 2 seconds, cast that, wait like 1, 2, dash, 1, 2, well, that's how you're going to be like utilizing the entire set effect. However, in the long run, if you do that, you're actually going to lose DPS. The best way is don't focus on the 2-second buff, just focus on the 1-second buff, unless you do have downtime, like maybe in Hex chest where you have to like dodge some abilities. That's where you can get like the 2-second downtime, and then that's where you're gonna utilize everything. But other than it, without that, just do your skills normally. You're gonna be getting the buff on each. Another way to utilize the buff and also squeezing in a little bit of DPS is you can do a skill and then fill in with a basic attack, because that gives you the 1-second buff at all times, or even 2 basic attacks if you want to have the 2-second buff, right? Keep that in mind. I do not wait for the 2-second to get the 10% crit rate. If you want to, maybe. I don't think it's necessary. You kind of lose DPS at the end, but the 1-second buff is pretty good. The 1-second buff is pretty good. That one is almost always active. So keep that in mind. When you go to your circuits, you just want to get your attack and stuff. On time circuits, you can go for cooldown rate or you can go for crit rate. Now this depends on what you need at that particular time. I do have a lot of cooldown rate, so I kind of need a lot of crit rate, so that you can interchange here. So this is like depends on how much how your gear is looking, right? And also your bonuses on your circuits. For here, I would say you can mix and match. It's either crit rate or cooldown rate. Yeah, on the time circuits, you can also do crit damage if you need the crit damage. I think I have one here. Yeah, you can use the crit damage as the main stat. For your stellar circuits, I went with Pyro because I do like the elemental enhance. Pyro is like really good buff. The elemental enhance are really good buffs. If you do not have a good elemental buff, you can go for skill damage, although I don't know why I don't really like this multiplier. The elemental one is much far superior, especially for now. So keep that in mind. That's for your stellar attributes. Of course, I'm going for Pyro. For sub attributes, you are going for what you need for the gunner, which is like strength. You're going for strength, agility, physical attack, physical crit, and cooldown rate, and then cooldown crit damage. Those are like your main stats that you're going to be looking for in your circuits. So yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I really hope this helped. If this one helped you, please like the video down there. Give me a subscribe because it kind of really helps me out as a creator. And thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next guide that I make. See ya, peace.